What did you get when you added 5/8 equals 1/8? What do you get on that one, Chance?
6/8.
6/8. Now, it did say simplest form. So what should it have been? What do I change it to, Chance?
3/4.
All right. What about number 2? 1/7 plus 2/7. Emmy?
You get 3/7 and that.
3/7, and it is simplified. Okay, did we trick you when we added a mixed number? Does that affect the way that you do it?
No.
So what is 4 3/10 plus 7 6/10? What's it going to be, Chloe?
12. But
12 and what?
no, it's gonna be 11 10/10, and that equals 12.
Okay, so 12 and it's just 12 whole?
Yeah. 11 and 9/10.
I don't think it will be.
Yeah, 11 and 9/10.
Because if I add the 7 and the 4, I get 11, and 3 plus 6 is 9.
Oh, I put down 7 instead of 6.
Okay? What about, now we're going to subtract it. 7/11 minus 6/11. What do you end up with, Esri?
1/11.
1/11, okay. 8/9 minus 8/9. What do you get, Braden?
0.
10 and 4/7 plus 3 and 3/7. What do you get, Tyler?
14.
14, good. What do you know about adding and subtracting fractions? What do you have to be able to add and subtract fractions?
I was just gonna say the denominator.
The denominator never changes?
It changes.
Well, it could change, but the denominator has to be what, Roper?
The same.
The same. So every one of these have what we call a common denominator, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so these you can do. They're simple,
Yes.
okay? We're going to compare fractions. Let me see what you know about comparing fractions. Okay? Compare 4/5 to 5/6. Do you know how to compare them?
No.
When we say compare, we're going to find the greatest, the least, or the equal, whichever one. Who's greater, less, or equal to? Tyler, what do you think?
I think that 4/5 is bigger.
Tyler says 4/5 is larger than 5/6. How do you know that, though, Tyler?
Because the 5th is a bigger portion than the 6th.
Well, that is a larger portion. I'll agree with that. But is that a guess? Kind of. How would I know for certain that that was a true statement? What do I have to do to be able to compare them? Can I compare fractions that don't have a common denominator? No, I can't. So, Kaylee, what would you do to those? What common denominator would you use? 30, okay? So this one becomes what?
4/30.
It's not 4/30, it's
5/30.
Kaylee, what's it going to be? 24/30. What does 5/6 become? 30 is my common denominator. What's the numerator? What's the numerator going to be, Tyler? 25? So is 4/5 greater than 5/6?
Nope.
Nope. This is not a true statement because it's going to have to be less than. And I don't know it unless I get my common denominators. Kaylee?
You can also tell because 5/6 are smaller, so when 5/6 and 4/5, the 4/5 are bigger and there's one of them left, and it's bigger than the 1/6.
Okay.
How'd you get the 24 and the 25?
Because in order to get that on the 4/5, I multiplied it by 6. And whatever I do to my denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So now we have 24/30. Good question, all right? We're going to find the common denominator between 14 and 8. Do you want to just multiply straight across? That's what we did there.
Oh, yeah.
You want to do it that way? We could, couldn't we?
Yeah.
May not be the best
You
way.
have to simplify it too much.
No.
You can't figure it out.
What's 14 times 8? What is 14
112.
times 8?
112.
Yeah.
112. Oh, that's my new denominator. And so then I have to do 8 times 5, which is,
40.
I gotta get that where it looks better. Okay, and over here we said 112. Well, what's 14 times 3?
12. No.
Can't be 12.
It's 42.
It's gonna be 42. Now, can you compare those two?
Yep.
What do you get when you compare them, Chance?
Well, 40 is less than 40. Less than
Yep.
42.
All right. Everybody knows where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I compare decimals or fractions, I can use, when I compare fractions, I can use a common denominator. It's one method. Can't say that it's always the best method, though. Was there a possibility of a lot of error dealing with these big numbers?
Yeah.
Sure there is. What if you use the cross product method? Have you ever seen the cross product method?
Yes.
Yeah.
Get that out of my way. Okay. So if I use the cross product, what do I do to find the cross product? Because I've got kiddos going, I don't know what you're talking about. Jaden, what would I do?
You have to go across like 6 times 3 and 8 times 1.
You're multiplying across like that. Okay, 8 times 1 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. Now, 8 compares to 3 as 8 is less than.
Yeah.
So then that entire fraction, 1/6, is less than 3/8. I don't have to multiply the denominators. Okay? Can I compare these two?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Can I
Well,
leave
they
them?
are.
Can I
No.
leave them as a mixed number?
No.
Why not? They're both 4.
Yeah.
I could.
Because it just even out.
They're going to equal each other out, right? And if I use the cross product, what is 9 times 20? 180? What is 25 times 7? 175?
Yeah.
Now compare 180 and 175.
180 is larger.
So that whole fraction is larger. Question, Tyler.
Did you just find the, you just count these have a multiple of 25 and 20 to get the new denominator?
You know what, Tyler? That is where we're heading. Okay? Chance?
Why don't you do both 4s?
Well, because I don't need to. Because 4, the whole number 4 is equal to the whole number 4. I know that at that point they're the same. I needed to know the fractional part. Okay?
So this is like 3 4s?
So this is 4 plus another 9/25ths, which equals 180 here. This is 4 plus another 7/20ths, which gives me that 175.
Well, what if it was 3 9/25ths and 4 7/20ths?
I wouldn't even have to compare the fractions, would I?
No.
Because I would know that 3 was less than 4. Okay? Okay. Adding and subtracting fractions. What do you know about them? What do you have to be able to add and subtract them? You have to have what, Jordan? Yeah, it's required. Common D. Must have it. Okay? Can't do it any other way. Must have it. Okay? Absolutely have to have it. If you're adding fractions, you gotta have a common denominator. Okay? Now, let's what we call the least common denominator. Okay? The least common denominator, the LCD, equals the least common multiple. Okay? What is the least common denominator between 8 and 6? It's not 2 because 2 is a factor.
Oh.
What's the least common multiple between 8? I want to know what is the LCM between 8 and 6. We've been working on that. Jaden, what's it going to be?
24.
Good job. LCM equals 24. Okay? So with that knowledge, that tells me I've got to change my denominator to 24. 5/8. What do I do to 8 to get 24? What do I have to multiply 8 by to get 24? Emmy? 3. So this is 8 times 3, and this is 5 times 3. This one here becomes 15 24ths. Do you agree? Okay. Now I got to add it to, well, what is 1/6? 1/6. What am I going to multiply by? What am I going to multiply it by, Braden?
4.
Times 4 times 4. This now becomes 4 24ths. Can I add them together now?
Yes.
And when I add it together, what do I get, Ben? 19 24ths. Now, is it true that if I wanted to, I could have multiplied the 8 and 6 and got a denominator that way? But am I going to be dealing with larger numbers then?
Yeah.
It is a proven fact that if you can keep with the smaller numbers, there is less chance of error. Okay? We want to keep it reduced as low as possible because we don't make as many mistakes. Kaylee?
Can you do what we were working on the other day, like the cross simplifying?
Well, we're not to that point yet with this. Okay? That works, cross simplifying works with multiplication. Okay? Not so much with addition. Okay? Use the product of the denominators as a common denominator. That's what we could do here. Oh, what's wrong with this one right here? Can I subtract fractions that are mixed numbers?
No.
No.
You have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could, can't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so I could, but why can't I subtract those right now? What's wrong with them? I can't subtract them. Why not, Jorlin?
Because there's no common denominator.
There's no common denominator. Okay, this says to use the product of the denominators. So what's my denominator going to become? If I use the product there of the denominators, Esri? If I use the product of the denominators, product is the answer in a multiplication statement. So what would my denominator become in that situation? 40, good. So now I have 4, and what did I do to this? I said the product, so times 10. And 40, what's 10 times 3? And I'm going to subtract 2 and 2 and 12/40ths. What's my final answer with that denominator before we have to do anything different? What's my final answer right there? What's it going to be, Tyler? 2 and 18/40ths. Can I leave my answer like that?
No. You have to
No, why not?
You have to simplify.
Simplify. So what do I need to do to those two? What am I going to do to simplify that? How would I simplify it? Esri.
Divide the fraction by 2.
Okay, I could divide by 2,
Or another number.
and that would give me 2 and 9/20ths. Is that correct? Can I reduce it any further? So my final answer is right here. That's my final answer. Okay? Jorlin.
Couldn't you go to 20 because 4 times 5 and then 10 times 2?
Yes, sir. If you had dealt with the LCD, you would have had this to be 20. I agree. Okay?
But it said the product.
But,
of the
right, just going by what it told us to do, which is reading for the understanding of what it's asked us to do. This one specifically said, I want the product of the denominators. Okay? In the next one, it's going to ask us to use the LCD. Okay? And you said the LCD or the LCM, because it's the same thing, equals 20, right? Okay. So let's take it. 4. How do I turn 4 into 20 as a denominator? I multiply by what?
5.
Okay, so I multiply by 5. Right? So now I have 4 and 15 twentieths minus 2 and 6 twentieths. What's 5? Let's see, 4 minus 2 is, and 15 minus 6 is it the same answer we got before?
Yeah.
Where do I have the opportunity, the least amount of opportunity for error? Which way?
This one.
The smaller numbers. Pardon? The LCD. Okay? Can't see the rest of that. Wait a minute, I know there's another one. Maybe I didn't. Okay? Okay, I want you to try this one. That's too easy. Let's go with, hang on a minute. 2/3, compare 2/3 and 4/6. 2/3 and 4/6. I want you to compare. This is what you're going to be doing on your homework today. So now it's your turn. Less than, greater than, or equal to. There you go. So are they less than, greater than, or equal to? Show me. You got it. Is that what you got? So I can either use the common denominator or I can use the plus product. Okay? So you take what you want for this. So put it over here, put it over here. And what do you get when you multiply this? So what do you know about those two? They have to be what? Is that the one or what are they? Less than, greater than, equal to? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as I walked around the room, I saw that everybody got them to be what?
Equal.
Equal. How many of you did the cross product? Okay. How many of you did the common denominator? Okay, if I have two fractions, I'll use cross product every time. But even if not, Chloe, what denominator did you choose? 24? Ooh. Well, if you chose 24, then you would have had 16 24ths.
No, I had 12 24s and 6 24s.
Can't. Don't you have to multiply the denominator and the numerator by the same thing?
Yeah.
And if you have 2/3, aren't you multiplying by 8? And then you would have 4/6, and you're gonna have to multiply by 4, which gives you 16/24 there, which still they're equal, right? You have a lot more chance of error going where the direction you went. Because you just picked what number you thought that they had in common, which they would have had 24. But you see where your errors came in? So if you'd have at least picked the LCD, least common denominator, would that have helped? Is the cross product, though, going to be easier because I have 3 times 4 and 2 times 6? They're equal to each other. You see the difference? Okay. Let's do
Is that a plus sign?
yes. 2 1/5 plus 3 6/10. Whoa, Emmy says I already got it.
No, on 2/3 and 4/6. 4/6 in this form is 2/3.
You're right. You could have simplified. You'd have had the same thing that way. Good job. She said if I'd have simplified right there at 4/6, I'd have known they were the same also. Good job. Good job. What do we get when we add those two together? What do you get, Braden?
5 4/5.
Braden says 5 4/5. Do you agree with Braden?
No.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
No. Who says no? Kaylee, why not?
Because I added my numbers in and then did times 2 and I got 5 and 7.
Okay, you went to a common denominator, right? And so you chose this to be 10. Well, and you multiplied by 2, right? And isn't 1 times 2 going to be 2? And so if you added them together, you would have had 5 8/10. And then is that going to reduce down to that right there? Yeah. You see what you did wrong? Okay. Good try, though. How many of you saw that 6/10 could be reduced? If you did, then that you reduced it and you got the right answer here. Either way works. Okay? How do you feel about the LCD? Oh, it's not letting me grab it. Fist to 5 LCD. Okay, it's the same thing as the LCM. Let's do a little bit of practice. Okay? Assignment. Textbook. Page. Oops. That's all right. I'm going to leave it there for just page 43, 1 through 17. Monday. Thank you.